Hi there, welcome to Camping Secrets. I'm Marky Mark. I've got something a little bit different to show you today in the world of power stations. These products are from Bluetti. They sent them to me and I'm free to give my full and independent opinion on them. They're called the Bluetti Handsfree 1 and the Handsfree 2. And it's something different. It's something we haven't seen in the world of power packs. Designed really for hobbyists, gadgeteers, photographers, drone flyers. This is a power station in a specially designed rucksack. The Handsfree 1 is a smaller rucksack, 42 litres in total. And it contains a power station inside, specially designed to fit in nicely, slimline. And I'll talk you through the specs in a minute. That's the little brother, and then the big brother is the Handsfree 2. So this is a 60 litre rucksack. Heavier in weight. This one's 5 kilograms, this one's 7.5 kilograms. You've got the bigger rucksack, and you've got a bigger power station on the side. So, what do I make of these things? Let's dig into it. So let's talk you through these two, the Handsfree 1 here and the Handsfree 2 here. Let's start with the power stations themselves. They both have these side pockets at the back of the rucksack. So that's up against your back. But they've been designed nicely. See, you've got these little elasticated straps. You can pull that cover there. This is a vented cover, by the way, and it's waterproof so that if the water's coming down, the water slides off. But air and hot air from the battery can get out. It tucks away nicely up here. And then we have an AC inverter here, and that can give 700 watts of output power with the Handsfree 2. And the equivalent on the Handsfree 1 is lower 300 watts. But remember, you've got the weight saving with this. This is considerably lighter than the bigger one. So if you need the power, you go for the Handsfree 2. If you just want to charge a few gadgets, your drone, your camera, this one may be more usable, just lighter and easier to carry around, especially when you've got all your equipment in there as well. This is dual-sided, so on the other side of the rucksack, we have the control panel for the Handsfree 2. So it's a very simple operating system. You have power on, you have DC outputs, which is your USBs, and you have an AC inverter. So as I say, this AC inverter on the Handsfree 2 can give 700 watts, and it's 300 watts of AC on the Handsfree 1. In terms of outputs, we've got two USB-C, 100 watt independent 100 watt USB-C ports. I may have liked to have seen a few more, because if you're carrying a lot of gadgets and you want to charge them all at the same time while you're walking around, you need a few more than two USB-Cs, I think, in the modern world. There's also solar charging, and you can buy a mini solar panel which clips on the back of the rucksack. I don't have that to demonstrate, unfortunately, today. But that's quite a nice idea when you're out in the wilderness to walk around and get trickle charge from the sun. But again, that will add to a little bit of weight and inconvenience, I think. Let's just take out the power pack. And that comes out from top like this. You'll notice there is a lot of storage space sort of above the power pack. But they're very nicely designed, these. It's quite a snug fit, so just getting it out can be a bit of a bind. But if I just hold that up to the camera here, you'll see how slimline this is, the Handsfree 2. And actually, I think this is a really nice form factor for a power station for your camper van, because it's so thin. Most power packs are sort of more squat, more, a handle and sort of cuboid in shape. This is nice and thin, like a bookshelf power pack. So as I said, the form factor of the Handsfree power stations, both 1 and 2, is really nice. Long and thin, fit on a bookshelf nicely. And I was just thinking, in our camper van, space is at a premium. So I really like this just as a camper van power pack on its own, without the need for the rucksack. One area it could go is just down here. Charge gadgets, keep gadgets in here, charge them. Yeah, it's probably not secure, but it's a great area. With the hands-free one, even smaller, again, it could go here, but there's various little cupboards that this will fit into, slot in. Really, really nice. Unfortunately, you can't buy this on its own, separate from the rucksack. And so to me, that's a little bit of a downer. It's a great rucksack, but if you're not gonna be carrying a gear out into the wilderness and you just want this power pack, you can't get it at the moment, but maybe Bluetti will change that as time goes by. In terms of other specs, storage capacity of this is 512 watt hours, and the smaller one with the hands-free one, let me get that one out for you. Again, you've got that storage space on top. Nice little Velcro pads just to cut off the power pack from that storage area. And now you can really see the difference in size between these two. And this is the weight difference. I mean, the rucksacks are pretty much the same weight. I mean, this one's slightly more, it's a bit bigger. But where the main meatiness and difference in weight comes from is the power packs themselves. Now, these are fully operational Bluetti power stations. They work with the Bluetti app. And actually, for once, I think that's a useful application using the Bluetti app. Hopefully I'll show something on the screen here of the app in operation. But when you've got a rucksack on and your equipment inside, maybe charging, you may have a solar panel, you're walking around with a rucksack on, if you want to know how much charge you're using or how much solar is going in, you don't want to have to keep taking the backpack off and checking the display. You can have you can have your smartphone in your pocket and use the app to talk to the power station, and you can just see it as you're walking around. So that is a use case that I can get behind in terms of the app. The smaller power station is very, very similar in terms of inputs and outputs. They both have inverters, AC inverters, as I said, 300 watts and 700 watts with the two. This has more capacity, double the capacity, 512, this is 268. But in terms of USB outputs, this has exactly the same number, 2 USB-Cs, 2 USB-As, solar input. Now this can take a lot more solar input power, and it can take the charges much faster as well. This is about 1.5 hours charge time, but this is considerably less, under an hour. And it can take more solar input as well. This is 350 watts of solar input. This is only 200. But the weight difference means a lot, and you will just need to think about your exact use case, what you've got to charge, and how long you'll be out for. I mean, there is an argument to say that this one doesn't really need the AC inverter, and that might have shaved off a little bit more weight. What else is there to say? Again, yes, we got the display on this little one. Pretty standard Bluetti display, input power, output power, remaining capacity, and basically that's all you need. Let's talk about the rucksacks. When I first got this product from Bluetti, I thought, this is a crazy idea. A group of design engineers have just got together in a room, said, what can we do with power stations now? And someone's gone, I know, let's just shove it in a backpack. And I had this horrible feeling that, the rucksack itself was just going to be absolutely useless. But nothing could be further from the truth. This is actually a very, very good rucksack, camera bag, and even, it's got some capability for carrying camping gear. I don't think that's its primary purpose. I was hoping for something that would carry a tent, sleeping bag. I don't think there's really the space in it for that application. So it's not quite what I need for while camping stroke photography, but for a day trip out with a lot of gadgets, this is brilliant. Let's just start from the front of the rucksack, and it's just straps galore, webbing galore, all these clips on the front for shoving stuff in and tightening them down. So you could put a tripod through there, you could put a a camping mat or whatever. Nice pocket on the top here, little flaps here, carrying stuff. This little webbing here, useful for just carrying mini tripods or whatever you need. If we undo these clips here, again, you can carry stuff with those. There's another pouch here with some independent pockets here. You can put some batteries in here. You could put filters or whatever you need for your camera work. On the bottom of the rucksack, again, independent straps. Again, a tripod could fit in here, or even a camping mat, or even a tent potentially. We've got bottle holders on the side. Again, you've got the back cavity there for the power station. And another bottle holder on this side. This front panel can unzip. And here we have a load of independent pockets. So I think for me, this area could store a laptop, it can store other gadgets, or even some clothes, food for the day. Really good, and it will expand out as you put more equipment in or stuff. Zip that up. Note that we've got YKK zips everywhere, and they are water resistant. You've got these lovely sort of waterproof coverings over the zip, so water is not going to ingress very easily. Again, where the power station is, I was a little bit worried water would get in on the power station while it's working and, you know, just cause issues. Water and electricity don't mix, as we all know. But Bluetti have taken a lot of steps to prevent that from happening. I've not taken it out in torrential rain, but I'm pretty sure you'll be all right. Just as a precaution, that's probably worth turning off the inverter during really heavy downpour. On the back, we have these waist straps, and you also have a strap for your chest. And the straps are really adjustable. You've got a lot of stuff here for clipping, changing the height, so it will fit anyone of any stature. I particularly like the waistbands with little pockets, again for storing stuff that you need really quickly while you're walking. So this will be on your front, so very nice. And then on this side, we have a rain fly. So this rain fly, in torrential rain, you might want to put this over the rucksack to stop water getting in. It is a separate rain fly. It's not connected in any way to the rucksack. I might have liked to have seen a little tether, because it's probably pretty easy to lose that. Might fly away in bad weather or whatever. But it's quite handy to keep there on the front. Let's just zip that up. Got a carry handle here, that's quite nice. And then the main compartment for your gear, let's get to that. Just finding the zips. One thing to note, there's a combination lock here, and I quite like this. So the top zips for your camera equipment, so your main bit, fit into this little thing here. There's a combination lock here. You basically can lock the zips so people can't easily unzip it. So a nice security measure there. Let's unzip this and undo it. Now, this is where the fun begins, because we've got a lot of space here. It's fully reconfigurable for the gear that you need. So today I've got my Nikon camera. I've got my DJI mini drone, which you can see here, if I could just unzip it. Very nice, I love this little thing. I've got my drone controller, I've got my Insta360 camera, and this is all fully reconfigurable. As I say, these little sections can come out, and you can just make whatever you want. Leave some of these at home if you want, or play around to your heart's content. There are some straps for locking this stuff in, but there's not individual straps for each compartment. Okay, so that's the rucksack. Now, one little, there's another pouch here for storing stuff. So there is a lot of storage, but it is in layers. So you don't have one big storage area, you have lots of little pockets, pouches, and storage areas. So you need to think, is that suitable to your use case? Right, let's put the power pack in, and I want to show you what it's like in operation, because generally you're not going to be taking this out. If it's out, it's very easy to then hook it up to your gear and charge stuff. Let's put it in where it's meant to be most of the time, and then show you one slight downside with the hands-free. Okay, now the power pack is in situ, and say we've arrived at our destination. We've been using our gadgets and they need charging. So how do I charge them? Well, say I've got a charging cable, simple USB-A to USB-C. I can obviously just simply turn on the power pack and connect up my USB-A, turn on the DC, and then I can run the cable on the outside to my gadgets. So say in this case I want to charge my Insta360. It's got a USB on the side, plug that in, and we're on. You can see that charging there nicely. But one niggle with the hands-free is that you've got to have the cables going outside and then in. Now, to me, that is not ideal. I think it would be much better if there was some internal cabling to get that cable through the inside the sort of chamber where the power pack is kept, and then up into the main camera bag area, because that way you could charge easily on the go without cables going outside. Because imagine if I want to charge this, this, and this at the same time. I would need 3 cables coming in from the outside. And to me, that's just messy, because then you cannot easily zip this up, especially if it's raining. Look, it fouls the connector. Say there's 3 of them, they're all coming out. And then you can't actually zip this up properly, because then we have to say zip here and then zip all the way around with the outer zip. So yes, you can leave a little area here for your cables to come out and in, but as I say, if there's 3 or 4 of them all coming out and into here, it's just not ideal, because it's just fouling that connector. So to me, that's a little bit of a miss, Bluetti. But it's not, I don't think it's a terminal mistake. And there could be a reason they've not done it. It could be safety. They may have wanted to keep the power pack completely separate from the main area. I can't really think what that would be. It's not as if there's fumes or any other sort of contamination coming out of the power pack. These are pretty standalone items, pretty safe. I mean, they use lithium iron phosphate cells with 4,000 charge cycles, and they do have a very intricate battery management system on the Bluettis, which prevent any sort of issues in terms of, you know, charging problems or even fires or whatever. These are really top of the range power packs. I've never heard of any sort of accidents with Bluetti or any of the other power station manufacturers. These are properly engineered products. So I can't really think why there is no hole through. Perhaps Bluetti can get in touch to let us know why. In terms of warranty, Bluetti give a 5-year warranty. It's an industry leading warranty. I've had a lot of Bluetti products. I've never had any issue. Occasionally some people come into the comments and with some other power packs and say, oh, I've had a problem. I've never had a problem with any power pack from any manufacturer, whether it's Bluetti, Jackery, Ugreen, EcoFlow. I've never had a problem. Anchor, I've had a lot of power packs. So I think you've got to be pretty unlucky to get a problem. And I would always say, you know, look on the internet. at reviews in forums like Reddit, places like that where people have given real feedback. And always remember that people like to complain on the internet. So if you see from a manufacturer that someone had bad service, that's just one person. That might be 2 or 3 people. But if they've sold tens of thousands of these things and 2 or 3 people had an issue, it's never the people who've not had an issue who go onto Reddit and complain. So just bear that in mind. Think about the statistics of this thing. I've never had a single problem with any of the power packs that I've reviewed. Anyway, that's sort of the hands-free in terms of features. Let's go home now and run a few tests on it and just see, how long can the battery run a gadget for? What kind of gadgets can we power? And then I'll give my verdict and let you know what I think of the hands-free 1 and 2. Let's get back home. Okay, so what can the hands-free 1 and the hands-free 2 power? I thought I'd just come into my little office here and just power a few things and see what's really the difference between a 300 watt inverter and a 700 watt inverter. This is just a halogen heater. It's a resistive load. And what's interesting is that the hands-free 2 has what's called power lifting mode, but the hands-free 1 doesn't. Now, what that means is the hands-free 2 can actually power devices rated higher than its 700 watts maximum. It can power devices that would normally take up to 1.2 kilowatts. Now, power lifting mode doesn't mean this can power it at 1.2 kilowatts. It would still power something like this at 700 watts, but it won't trip out. Whereas this hasn't got power lifting mode. This is only 300 watts as well. So this is not going to power this at all. But let's just show that in operation. We've got the Bluetti Handsfree 2 on. Let's activate the AC. You have these little buttons here. And then the actual AC output, is on the back here. So let's just show that. Now, each of the bars on this is 400 watts. This can do 700 watts. So let's just put one on. Nope, that's 2. So let's put one on. 370 watts being drawn there. Now let's put a second one on. Now that's powerlifting mode because that is actually above 700 watts of power required with the 2 bars. It's about 800 watts required. But this is powering them both at the maximum this can deliver, 737 watts. I can hear the fan just slightly come on. And actually there's air coming out of the back here on this fan here. So I can feel cool air coming out. But look, that is powering nicely. If I put the 3rd bar on, it may still work because powerlifting mode should still power it. Oh, it's tripped out. So 3 was too much and the powerlifting mode couldn't actually cope with that. So let's turn those off. Let's turn off the AC, turn off the DC. Yeah, so very easy to reboot. You just turn off the AC and then you can turn it back on again. Very nice. Now the hands-free 1 will not do anything like this in my view, based on the specs. So 300 watts capability. Let's just turn that off. Okay, let's activate the AC on this. Now this is likely just to trip straight away, so don't expect great things. Here we go. On. Oh. 364 watts. So that's actually drawing more than it's capable of. So this is probably on surge power and then it's tripped. So it can do a surge more than 300 watts for a short period, but your steady state power cannot be more than 300. This is about 370 to 400, so it tripped it out. So you can't power a heater like this with the hands-free 1. But that's not what it's designed for. It's designed for charging gadgets. So just bear that in mind. What else have we got in here to charge? Keyboard. Just get this heater out of the way. Activate the AC. That's activated. Aha. Okay, that works nicely. And if it works on the hands-free one, it's going to work on the hands-free too. Let's try this guitar amp. Just switch that on. We're on. So that's cool. Let's plug a guitar in quickly. Works nicely and no hum. So it's nicely shielded. It's not causing any unwanted noise on the amplifier. Really quiet. Nice. Got a little home office setup here with a printer and a paper shredder. Just running off the hands-free one. You can just get some paper here, whack it in. Works nicely, just drawing about 100 watts there. Drawing about 100 watts. So yeah, really handy just for powering stuff. Lovely size, really like it. Let's charge a few gadgets. Got my camera battery here. Now that uses an AC charger, so you can very easily hook this up with AC on. Let's put both AC and DC on. Plug this into the back. Straight away we're charging. And same, my drone needs charging as well. Let's just get this out. USB-C. Let's grab a cable, what we got. USB-C cable. Plug that in. That's a USB-A. Fast charge, so let's plug that in the USB-A. And now the drone is charging as well, both at the same time, AC and DC. So you can charge this at the same time. It has a mains input here. You can just plug that in and charge it and charge your units at the same time. And you can take solar in at the same time as well. Could grab the controller of the drone. And again, that's got a USB-C. So just need another USB-C here. We've got one here. Plug this in. And that's a USB-C on the other side. So now we can use one of these USB sockets. And that's charging as well. So 3 items charging all at the same time. Very nice. And finally, got my Insta360 again, and that's USB-C. Plug that in. USB-C. Plug it into the other one, independent, and that's charging as well. Now, of course, you can do this with the battery, with the power station in the rucksack. Like I said before, the cables have to go on the outside in. You can see the flexibility here when you're carrying all your gadgets at once. Just being able to charge it is really handy. And it means you can go out all day and keep your stuff charged up, as well as carrying other items, you know, a flask of tea or whatever. So it is flexible if that's what you're looking for. So I just wanted to show you that you can charge your gadgets and charge the power station at the same time. So let's just plug everything back in over here, close to the plug. And the inverter as well for the camera battery. So we've got that charging, we've got this charging, we've got the drone controller charging up there, you can see, and we've got the drone itself charging, and we're drawing actually only 28 watts. And that's why the hands-free one is perfectly adequate. It's 5 kilograms. It can charge all your gadgets because these gadgets don't draw much power. And this thing, it can deliver up to 300 watts. It's perfectly adequate for charging gadgets. So in my mind, it's sort of my favorite one. It's the cheapest of the two between the hands-free 1 and 2. It's the lightest of the two, and it does most of what you want in terms of gadget charging. Right, let's plug in the hands-free. Now this could be solar as well, so you could charge in solar on this front panel here. We've got a little XT60 connector, but the equivalent is basically charging off the mains, plug it into the back of the power station, and put that on. So now we've got 157, 162, 164 watts coming in. We're charging up the hands-free 1, and we're still charging our gadgets. So that is called pass-through. Everything's still charging. So you can charge this up while charging gadgets. Power in, power out. Well, today is an uncharacteristically un-British spring day. The sun has come out, and I wanted to take this opportunity to quickly test the solar charge capability of the hands-free. I've got the hands-free 2 here, and I've just switched it on, and we're at 49% battery capacity. Now you can see down the bottom here we have an XT60 connector socket, and that is for solar charging. It's also for car charging off the cigarette lighter, etc. So Bluetti give this cable with XT60 socket on it, and that is connected for the solar to 2 MC4 connectors, as you can see here. So this comes in the package with the hands-free. You don't get the car charger cable. You have to buy that separately for about £20, which is a bit of a shame, I think. But let's basically just plug it in here. Connects nicely. And then I've got an all powers solar panel here. I don't have the Bluetti solar panels. This is a 100 watt flexi solar panel. Can you tell what it is yet? So it doesn't fold, this one, but it's pretty good, 100 watts in bright sunlight. And then we can just connect the MC4 connectors to the panel. So you can basically use any standard panel, you know, the 12 volt to 60 volt variety. And then let's have a look what we get in pretty bright sunlight. 27 watts, 43 watts, 65 watts, 77 watts, 84 watts, 89 watts, 91 watts. So it clearly works nicely. Obviously you can put more solar than that into this hands-free 2, up to 350 watts. So you could have an array of these in the garden or on your camper van, and then charge up your hands-free 1 or 2 with that. So thumbs up, Bluetti. So what is my conclusion with the Bluetti hands-free 1 and hands-free 2? Well, I think you've got to be looking for something that does the specific job that these power packs do. You've got to be a gadgeteer. You've got to be someone who likes to go out into the wilderness, takes photographs, flies a drone, needs to carry electrical equipment that needs recharging, battery-powered stuff. If you're one of those people, then the rucksack for this is great. Just as a gadget rucksack, it's absolutely well made, real quality, just pockets galore for drinks, for gadgets, for filters, for batteries, for cables. It can carry everything. On top of that, you've got the power station inside. Here we've got the hands-free 2 inside. And that can charge your stuff, but it does add to the overall weight. So, as I said before, the hands-free 2 is a fairly substantial 7.5 kilograms. So that's rucksack and power pack. The hands-free 1 is a lot less at 5 kilograms, and it's a lot cheaper. The current introductory price is £348 in the UK for the hands-free 1. So that's rucksack and power pack and cables. For the Handsfree 2, at the moment, it's 498, but please check the link in the description below. It may come down, it may stay the same, may go up, I don't know. But yeah, click those links and you'll see what the current price is. Which one do I prefer? Well, right from the start, I've thought the Handsfree one is the best choice for me. It's lighter, it powers the gadgets I need. I've got the drone, the camera, the 360 camera. They're not power hungry devices. And the Handsfree one can supply 300 watts total power. It can easily charge my gadgets. It's got 268 watt hours. So that's a similar capacity to the Bluetti EB3A, the EcoFlow River 2 or River 3. It's that sort of size, but in a lovely bookshelf kind of form factor, which I really like. I like the power pack on its own, if I'm honest. You know, I like this bookshelf-shaped power station because it can fit in my campervan really nicely. And it's a bit of a shame you can't buy the power packs on their own. And you have to have the big rucksack with the big power pack and the little rucksack with the little power pack. And to my mind, it would be nice to be able to buy the big rucksack with the little power pack and put them together and choose yourself. So I'd say to Bluetti, can you make that a thing whereby the buyer can choose which rucksack and which power station they want? Or can they buy the rucksack on its own? Or can they buy the power stations on their own? It just makes sense. These are great power stations, and I think people might want them just on their own for camper vans, tents, or whatever, just because of the shape. I've got to say that these are niche products. I think it is a niche market. It's not going to appeal to everyone. The rucksacks are lots of little pockets, lots of thin sort of layers. Yes, you could take all this out and make one big compartment, and then it becomes a bit more practical for pure camping rucksack. You could put clothes in here, you can put drinks in the side, but it's not as flexible for camping as a proper big camping rucksack. It is built more for the gadgets, so you've got to decide if that's what you want. As I say, I don't think it would appeal to everyone. It has some crossover use. You know, you've got these straps at the bottom. You could put a tent there if you wanted. But then the weight is quite high if you're carrying the battery pack as well. If you're not carrying the battery pack, you may as well just get a normal rucksack if you want to go wild camping or something like that. So think carefully about what you want. I think if you do want portable power on the go with an inverter, you've got gadgets to charge, you may want to hold a party in the woods, you may want to sit on the beach all day and power your stuff. In those cases, these are fabulous. But if you're into wild camping, you want a rucksack to help you with that, you're not so bothered about the power, these may not be for you. But overall, the Handsfree one is my favorite. It's the best price. The power pack fits my needs. I would prefer to have the 60-litre rucksack with the Handsfree one power station, but you can't at the moment. I think this one may appeal to some people, having the most power you can, but the weight does add up, especially when you're carrying your gadgets as well. You probably wouldn't want to walk more than a few miles with this fully laden. This one, much better. Anyway, that's my views on the Bluetti Handsfree 1 and 2. I hope you found it useful. I think they are unusual products, quite nice to see a bit of innovation in the field. They're very reliable, 5-year warranty, pretty good prices, check them out. That's all from me today at Camping Secrets. I've been Marky Mark. Please tune in, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.